Now, every once in a while, we get a film that breaks uh, whatever the storytelling or the thing or whatever. I do think of Shiva and Satya as those movies, but let's take the big movies, right? We get a Mughal-e-Azam. That's it. That's one era, right? That breaks everything, and then suddenly we move into the 70s and we get Sholay. Now that breaks everything, and then we move into the 80s and you get like a combination of QSQT and Maine Pyar Kiya, whatever it is. Now that breaks everything, and then these things become a kind of model for a few years or whatever it is, right? Now, what do you think this is going to become a model for?
This, I think, will become for everything, including craft, including character design, screenplay structuring. I think it will be going on, be quoted forever, for a very long time until something else comes up, like this came up. Because see, the whole point is we have this habit of calling now director, by definition, is a guy is taking the calls on how to translate a given scene on paper using the various crafts to put it on. Now, like you very well know, this auteur theory of what a director means is different, where his personality gets reflected. Mughal-e-Azam is not like that. Mughal-e-Azam at that time, in terms of, for example, I feel Steven Spielberg is an auteur, Coppola is not.
Right.
Coppola more or less in the context of, he shot it like a TV series. But the power of writing, the characters, the performances makes it look...
And the lighting and all that, yeah.
Whereas Steven Spielberg does things like, for example, put it this way, the first time when they see the shark in Jaws, now Roy Scheider is sitting on the keel putting fish in the water, and Robert Shaw is in the cabin and they both are talking something, and suddenly the shark comes and he just gets like a close-up of a blank look and he held on to him for some time.
Yeah.
Then cut to Robert Shaw's station, he comes walking back. We need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Cut to extreme top angle and you see the shark going from under the board in relation to the board size you see. So that line was written for the shot. In reality, probably you would have screamed, and you would have come running. That is actually real.
Yeah.
So this is a cinematic design, what Spielberg is doing, which is what I called an auteur, for the want of a better word.
Yeah.
Those elements also are there.
Yeah.
Then the performances and to make the audience feel the depth of the emotion instead of verbalizing it. So every aspect of cinema, coming to music, now the contrast of a dark, violent thing is happening and some tama song is going. So in a way, it is celebrating the violence.
Yeah.
Anybody will put dark background score
because
it is to emphasize what is already happening on the visual. Many times he played the contrast.
Right.
So in every department, whether it's editing or background score or the usage of songs or X or Y, it is a benchmark for everything. There is no single thing which I feel in this it is very good, in this it's okay. I mean, the very fact I'm not able to think of a film which is near to it makes my point.
Right. In what, again, there are many scenes, but tell me a couple of scenes where you see the auteur, like you described the Spielberg scene in Aditya Dhar.
Yeah. See, the point is when, if in the editing pattern of cutting, when after he's left and he's thrown on the road, is coming.
Okay.
And the car stops.
Oh, okay.
He comes.
At the end. Okay.
And he opens the door and he comes in and sees a sudden cut to this guy. It's like a suspense film, actually.
Yeah.
In a way, it is changing genres in the same breath of it. There is an action film happening, there is a crime drama, then there is a relationship drama and all that. See, those things you take it for granted in the sense of that. It's just in the cutting.
Yeah.
If the same scene was shot, it's like him coming and him getting down, it will be a different thing.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Actually,
so you are building moments point by point of whatever. This is what is called elevation, actually.
Yeah.
Our guys do it in slow motion and ear thumping background music. That's what they think is elevation.
what I liked about that scene was he gets into the car, closes the door, it's still dark, the light comes on, and then you see
Yeah, that's
who
what I'm
it
saying.
is.
Yeah.
So it's not even like he opened the car and he said, no.
Yeah.
He gets into the car, he's still suspicious. You can see by the walk that he's a little suspicious about what's going to happen, whatever it is. But he has no option. He's thrown in the middle of the road. He walks to the car, gets into the car, shuts the door, light comes on. That's when the reveal happens.
Yes.
So exactly, like there is a drama that happens in that. The reveal itself is drama,
Correct.
as opposed to him opening the door and
Correct.
then seeing the thing.
See, you are giving information point by point to every shot to create some kind of an impact.
Right. What if I were to ask you things that you felt could have been better? What would you say?
See, in the course of watching the film, sometimes I felt some scenes, I thought Jamil's character, Rakesh Bedi, they were looking a little non-sync even in the color palette, him being in the garden with his things and all that. But then by the time I come to the end, I felt they also contributed. In fact, because they lowered my expectation and I kind of underestimated him. If I don't like the scene, that also is my comment on the character.
Right.
But then when he appears in the end, even they kind of, so in other words, in the course of watching, I might have felt that. But when I saw in the overall, by the time it finishes, I didn't. Okay. Then the third is probably I was a little this about the treatment of Dawood Ibrahim's character. But that again is a context of what I think or what I know from my sources about Dawood. Is I felt, but that is about my knowledge versus his knowledge.
Yeah.
But if I don't know that as a filmmaker, I wouldn't have had that problem. You know, the only time I felt it was a little this when he stumbles on the when this guy puts some dawai in Dawood's food, and he goes and vomits in the thing, and that I felt though the intent could be right, but that was sounding like a very ordinary mainstream film to make him look like a comedian.
You're talking about that skin thing, right?
No, I'm talking about when he puts that medicine and Dawood is trying to
right. Yeah.
I'm saying
Okay.
That I thought, because technically speaking, he would be more dangerous than all the other characters.
Yeah.
The kind of a dignity which he gave there, I felt he didn't give here.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, that actually worked because I felt he was playing with my expectations of how a villain would be treated. I think you think a big guy should not get humiliating moments, but here he's really playing with the rules of how you treat.
Like maybe that's what I'm saying.
How you treat a villain, and that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Of course, but the other thing is when at the end when you see Rakesh Bedi's character having done what he did, which is that whole thing, that skin thing, I'm like, wow, this is a mass moment, but it's not looking like a slow motion mass moment from the other films. It's mass because it's giving you a thrill of, wow, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And that way that you get that electricity, but you're not getting it the traditional way of whatever it is, right? It's like either through a punch dialogue or through a something. It's through an action that fits in with so the way for me the screenplay was so good is because everything just locked in together. If anything, I would say I would have wished from my side would have been a little more detailed was the relationship between the husband and the wife. I felt that could have been like shown a little more because in the first part, she came across as somebody who was a little unhinged and who was equally like dangerous. Here, I felt that she was a little I felt that aspect of hers could have been a little more developed, but for maybe they didn't.
But I felt that is the originality of it. That's the most expected thing to happen, you know. By not having that and only limiting her to the most pivotal points of whatever is character, keeping her small, I thought was a more bigger impact.
And when I came back, why I felt that worked later was because you know that she really loves him, and you know that he loves her even though he doesn't say as much. So at that point when he burns that photograph, you that emotion becomes even more, because you know that he has a family waiting for him in Pakistan, and a wife that loves him, and a son, and he's got to let go of all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it's like this one. So